Good morning. If everybody could find their seats, there's plenty of room. That's why we got to use this place to make everybody comfortable. I'm Major Robert Chandler. For those of you who don't know who I am, I'm going to preside over this ceremony today. So just so you understand it, I'm in charge of 6 counties from Broward all the way through Indian River and 3 districts. Trooper Bullock worked in my Fort Pierce district, which provides services to the residents and visitors of the Treasure Coast. It's my honor to welcome everyone to today's ceremony honoring Florida Highway Patrol Trooper Joseph Bullock. Please, if you don't mind, as a matter of fact, I don't want to say that, silence your cell phones. I don't want to say that, and then mine be silenced. Anyway, just some housekeeping. The men's restroom is to my right, just outside those doors. The women's restroom is to my left, just outside the auditorium. If you would, please join me for a presentation of the colors by our Florida Highway Patrol Honor Guard. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag, United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And now a special presentation of the national anthem by Alessandra Fiola.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Seated. I want to welcome Pastor Matt, who is the campus pastor of this beautiful church, to provide some opening comments in our prayer.
I want to welcome you to Christ Fellowship. As he said, my name is Matt. I'm one of the pastors here at Christ Fellowship. On behalf of our senior pastors, Todd and Julie Mullins, we love to be a church that is part of the community, that supports our community. And we so love and celebrate our men and women who serve in law enforcement. We want you to know we pray for you constantly. And I'm not going to preach. I just wanted to welcome you. I wanted to share an encouraging word for you, family. I just got to shake your hands. And I want you to know we love you. And all of these people and leaders in our community have come today to honor this wonderful man and to love you and support you. God doesn't always tell us why he takes us through painful experiences. But I found in my life that God never wastes our pain. And as I was praying for what I would just share with you in one word today, it's in Jeremiah 29. That God says, I know the plans I have for you, says the Lord. Plans not to harm you, but to give you a hope and a future. And you can trust that as you lean into God, you'll find hope for your future. And I want you to know all of us here and the churches in Martin County are here to say, we stand with you today. Could we bow in prayer and ask God's blessing over this time? Heavenly Father, we thank you that you are so close to us. And you are a God who comforts us in times of need. And we thank you, Lord, that when we don't quite understand what has happened or we don't know how to move forward in our life, as we lean in to you, we find hope for our future. For you always have a greater plan in store. And because you're God, you can even take the brokenness and the pains and the tragedies of our life, and you can work it for our good. And so I pray for every man and woman who serves in our law enforcement in the state of Florida today. We're so honored that we could be a church that serves, especially in this moment. And I pray for the Bullock family and all the friends, that you give them a sense of peace and your presence and a confidence that they can put their hope in you. We ask your blessing on this time in Jesus' name. Amen. God bless you.
I would like to welcome all our guests. I was going to offer a round of applause for Alejandra, but she had to get back to school, so she left already. She's the daughter of one of our lieutenants out of my Davie district, and she does such a beautiful job, but she's not here to see our thanks, but I know everybody appreciated that. Anyway, I'd like to welcome all our guests and members of the Florida Highway Patrol, especially Captain Ryan Lloyd, who's in charge of the Fort Pierce district where Joe Bullock worked, as well as members of the district that are here today who served with Trooper Bullock, as well as members from all the law enforcement agencies that are represented here today. I know Sheriff Snyder is here from Martin County Sheriff's Office, Chief Deputy Gary Wilson from the representing Indian River County Sheriff's Office, Chief Deputy Lonnie Rich from Indian River. Thank you for coming. I know there's more that I probably haven't mentioned, but thank you. As well as members from the State Attorney's Office, Nita Denton, the State Attorney in charge of Martin County, and Carolyn Timon, the Martin County Clerk of the Court, our state representatives, which I'll mention shortly, and you'll get to meet one of them, and our Martin County commissioners who are in attendance today. Most importantly, of course, I want to welcome the Bullock family. John, Joe's father, mother, Val, his two sisters, Jessica and Katie, who have joined us today, as well as many friends that have traveled from far. I recognize from out of state, just to attend this ceremony. I want a special welcome to Riviera Beach Police Department Detective Jamel Headings. I guess Chief Osgood couldn't make it today, but Jamel is seated right, looking right over there. And there's another person I didn't get to thank when we did Joe's funeral, who's also here, and that's Tri-County Towing, David Reap, and hopefully I said his last name right. And just for those of you that are not particularly clear or remember every part of that, David was the tow truck driver on scene that literally wasn't for a malfunction, may not be here today as well. He ran across the highway and waved down Detective Jamel Headings, who stopped his car. So they're both heroes. Thank you for being here. Going to begin we're going to get right to it. I want to welcome the Florida Highway Patrol Director, Colonel Gene Spaulding.
Good morning, and thank you for being here. Let me begin by saying that it is my most profound honor to be with each of you here today as we recognize the service of Florida Highway Patrol Trooper Joseph Bullock. This is a time of fond reflection and deepest gratitude for the sacrifices of those who have left us too early. I also want to recognize and thank the members of the Trooper Bullock's family who's sitting on the front row, and all the current and retired members of the Florida Highway Patrol, and all of our partner law enforcement members who could be here today. As Major Chandler mentioned, our many elected officials and distinguished guests. I also want to give a special recognition to Senator Lauren Book, Senator Doug Bronson, and State Representative Chuck Brannon for drafting the legislation to implement the honorary road designations, and in this case, a station designation. Their legislation over the last several years has ensured that 32 fallen troopers have received honorary road designations. And I want to give a special thanks to Governor Ron DeSantis for signing those pieces of legislation into law. Additionally, I'd like to thank the members of the Martin County Commission for their support in adopting the resolution to implement this roadway designation. You know, the Florida Highway Patrol was established in 1939 with only 59 troopers serving approximately 2 million residents. Over the course of the next 81 years, our department has evolved into 1,982 sworn members, serving over 21 million residents and 126 million tourists each year. During that time, there have been thousands of brave men and women who have proudly worn the FHP uniform and bravely served the citizens of this great state. Upon graduation from our training academy, each trooper takes an oath of office that in part states, "I will perform my duties fearlessly, impartially, and with all due courtesy. I will well and faithfully perform the duties of a Florida Highway Patrol trooper on which I am now about to enter. So help me God." Today, we're here to honor the life and career of Trooper Joseph Bullock, who did faithfully and fearlessly perform his duties for the citizens of the state of Florida. 1 year ago today, as many of you here in this room were on scene of that chaotic event, Trooper Bullock was shot and killed in the line of duty while trying to assist a motorist on I-95. He was assisting the driver whose vehicle had become disabled. The driver of the vehicle approached Trooper Bullock and fatally shot him. Joe was 42 years old at the time of his death. He was the first law enforcement officer in the history of Martin County to die in the line of duty. Trooper Bullock, or as his family and friends called him, Joe, honorably served in the military as a senior airman in the United States Air Force from 1995 to 1999. Joe was stationed in Minot, North Dakota, Saudi Arabia, and the North and South Korean border. He loved being a part of the Brotherhood and served his country with great pride and distinction. After his military service, Joe was accepted into the Florida Highway Patrol Training Academy. He was beyond excited because being a cop was his lifetime goal since the age of 5. He always wanted to be a cop, just like his dad, John, who was a jail warden and chief deputy with the Warren County Sheriff's Department in Pennsylvania. When Joe got accepted to the Florida Highway Patrol Academy, he was living out his dream. Joe was part of the Florida Highway Patrol's 99th recruit class, and after graduation from the academy, his first and only duty assignment was Troop L, Fort Pierce, a place he made his new home, remaining on the Treasure Coast for his entire 19-year career. Although, if you spend any time at all with his family, he was known quite often to frequent his real home over on the west coast of Florida with his family. Trooper Bullock paid the ultimate sacrifice, doing exactly what he had done so proudly for nearly 2 decades on the Treasure Coast, attempting to help others in need. This roadway and station dedication will serve as a solemn reminder of his sacrifice. So as dictated in the 2020 Florida Legislature, Senate Bill 78, the portion of I-95 between mile markers 105 and 110 in Martin County is designated as the Trooper Joseph Bullock Memorial Highway. At this time, I'll ask the Honor Guard to please unveil the signs. Applause. And as part of that same legislative bill, the Fort Pierce Florida Highway Patrol District Station was also named after Trooper Joseph Bullock. As stated in the 2020 Florida Legislature, Senate Bill 78, the Florida Highway Patrol Station, located at 2929 North 25th Street, is designated as the Trooper Joseph Bullock Building. Honor Guard, please unveil the sign of the station. We're going to do a couple of more recognitions. Also, recently, members of the 19th Judicial Circuit Investigative Team planted a tree and placed a monument at the FHP station in honor of Trooper Bullock. Please look at the photo displayed. Let's thank them. And lastly, Troop L members raised and contributed money to purchase an incredibly beautiful monument, which was just completed and placed at the Fort Pierce Station. Again, it's on the video. Trooper Bullock, and especially his family, will always remain in our thoughts and prayers. You will always be members of the FHP family, and we will never, never forget the sacrifice that Joe made, not only on behalf of the Florida Highway Patrol, but the citizens of this great state. You know, to date, 49 Florida Highway Patrol troopers have lost their lives in the line of duty. And as we post these signs on our roadway, and as you can see by the projection on the screen, these are replicas of much larger signs that are posted both northbound and southbound on Interstate 95. But as we pass the legislation and get these signs posted, our goal is that they serve not only the purpose of recognizing Joe and the other members that gave their ultimate sacrifice and recognizing their families, but we also hope that it'll have a secondary effect. And that's for every member that passes these signs on our roadways will take note that someone did pay an ultimate sacrifice. You know, out of the 49 troopers we've lost in the line of duty, the majority of them's either been killed on our state roadway system, either by gunfire or horrific traffic crashes. We've had some die in airplane crashes, but the majority of them happened on the side of our roadways. And with these signs being posted, our goal is that people will look at these signs and know that the sacrifice was paid, but it'll also be a reminder to them to do what's right. When you see our public safety professionals working on the side of the interstate or on a state road or a county road, give them the courtesy of doing what you're supposed to do. Slow down, put your cell phones down, and most importantly, move over and give them room to work. So with that, I would like for you to please join me in a moment of silence to honor not only Trooper Bullock, but all of our fallen troopers and every other law enforcement, and especially remember our 2 FBI agents that were killed last week in the line of duty. It's dangerous out there. We had a trooper night before last, many of you heard, in Miami, that was ambushed by a gunman while he was sitting in his car working a construction zone. Fortunately, he was able to return fire and subdue the threat, but it's dangerous out there and we've lost too many people. So with that, at this time, let's bow our heads in a moment of silence and remember these members and their families. Thank you. And as I turn it back over to Major Chandler, I would like to thank him as well because, as I mentioned, the 32 road designations, Major Chandler took the initiative and he helped work with the legislature and identify the roadways and the members and the backstories. And I know he's passionate about this and he's done a phenomenal job for the Florida Highway Patrol. So thank you, Major Chandler. Let's give him a round of applause.
All right. Thought it would get easier every time we do this, but it isn't. Anyway, thank you, Honor Guard. A round of applause for our Honor Guard. You know what? This is off script, but I'm going to tell you something, John and Val. When I got that call a year ago from Major Budenseek telling me what happened, since then, this is in 1 year's time, I got a second call about 5 months ago in Palm Beach County. 2 of my troopers were involved in a shooting, didn't know if they were hurt, raced to the scene in Palm Beach County. The suspect that they've been chasing in a stolen car exited off the highway, crashed his car twice, bailed out on foot, carrying an assault rifle and a handgun, fired at one of my troopers. let's just say like Jamel Headings, we returned fire and the suspect is deceased. The colonel mentioned the FBI, 2 agents. That was 1 mile from my house. I was up at 6 in the morning and on my way out the door, and I saw all these lights. I didn't know what it was. And I saw all these unmarked cars. The next day, Wednesday, just 2 days ago, my phone rings again from my Davy captain in Broward County. Hey, one of our troopers involved in a shooting. I don't believe he's hurt. And the colonel already described what happened. It's a miracle, an absolute miracle. I don't know how he did it. So I say this because we live in a society right now. I don't know what's wrong with our people out here that hate us so much. But law enforcement, you know, when I saw those cars, just like the day that Joe got killed, everybody came. Everybody. Even though there was nothing they could do. The FBI thing the same way. Heck, if I turned around, if I would have known, I would have turned around, maybe stood there, I don't know. That's just what we would do. In law enforcement, we want to be there. We wish we could have been there. I wish I could have been at the door with those FBI. I wish I could have been there that day with Joe. All of us are like that. But it occurred to me, we know we can't be everywhere, but I really believe in my heart, this is 3 times in the last 12 months under my command. I think Joe is looking out for his fellow members in heaven. He's looking out for his Troop L members. Okay, Joe? All right. That's all I wanted to say. Now, the colonel mentioned the state representative, Chuck Brandon. I'm going to ask him to come up. He was the House sponsor, there he is, House sponsor of this bill and the bill the previous year, responsible for 32 troopers, and I'll let him tell a little bit of his story. Words cannot thank him enough for what he's done for us and the members of the Highway Patrol and all law enforcement. But I'll let him explain his background. Thank you, sir. Yes.
Thank you, Major Chandler, Colonel Spaulding, for once again inviting me to be with you. We have done too many of these ceremonies in the last year, but it is always my honor to be here. I spent a 30-year career in law enforcement myself at the sheriff's office, so I wore the green uniform. I was never a trooper. And I always tried in my career to remember those officers lost in the line of duty every day and the good jobs that they did and how they made their agencies and communities proud. The self-sacrifice of the one who comes and places himself at our side for no other reason than to make right triumph over wrong is always worthy of honor. That's why I was so proud after being elected to the legislature to be able to file this legislation, which names stretches of highway all across the state of Florida for all of the Florida Highway Patrol troopers lost in the line of duty since the patrol began in the 1930s. It is my hope, as it is the Colonel's, that as the motoring public passes these markers, and on my way down from North Florida this morning, I saw Troopers Bullock's real sign. It is my hope that the motoring public will remember it was not how these officers died that made them heroes. It was how they lived and served. May we never tarnish their memory. I was on the House floor just one short year ago today when I received the news of Trooper Bullock's passing. I immediately went and found my fellow representative, Oberdorf, and informed him of what had happened. I was shocked. We stopped all the proceedings going on there that day and held a moment of silence for Trooper Bullock. And I was touched and I was hurt that we had to do this one more time to amend the bill to add another name. I was saddened, but I was proud to add Trooper Bullock's name to this list of forever Florida heroes. You see, my dad was a state trooper. And in 1965, he lost one of his friends and partners. Trooper Sherman Lee Scott was murdered by by an escaped prisoner on the newly opened Interstate 10 in our small county of Baker County. It was a shock to our community. I vividly remember it as a small child. So this ceremony has special meaning to me. My dad will be 85 years old next month, and there's not a month that goes by that he does not mention Trooper Scott. Trooper Scott was 25 years old when he died. Troopers, I know what you do every day. So much of what you do exceeds the bounds of what really involves law enforcement and enforcement of the law. Serving your communities highlights your commitment to this profession and calls for you to be what you really are. It's not the uniform. You're the wonderful sons and daughters and family members and friends and neighbors in your community and your respective troops. Troopers, let me say this to you. With this climate in this country and the things going on, don't ever hesitate. You do what you need to do to go home and be safe with your families. And I guarantee you, Representative Overdorf and I will always be your staunchest supporters. You be safe out there. The citizens here, let me say something to you. Be informed, citizens. Support your protectors, the police. In these days and times, capable citizens need to be involved citizens. We can all make a pledge to make our communities a better place to live and work. The fallen officers, especially Trooper Bullock, whom we honor here today, protected their fellow citizens, advanced the cause of justice, and established a tradition of service that continues in the Florida Highway Patrol today. If you think about it, the true measure of our service is always the value of our service, especially our service to others. In valor, there is hope. The Bible says where there is no vision, the people will perish. Many, including Trooper Bullock, who we honor today, have made the ultimate sacrifice in the defense of, and the safety of, and the protection of our citizens and people here in Florida. It is indeed an honor to serve and protect, and our duty to care. May Trooper Bullock's memory and his sacrifice sustain us all. Remind us daily of his sacrifice to secure our freedom and safety. May we never forget his bravery and all he gave up so that we might live free and safe. We are forever indebted to the heroes whose valor we are obligated to know. For these heroes are what defines us as a people. And if you think about it, it's the very core of who we are. God bless Trooper Bullock. God bless his precious family. God bless his co-workers, all of them, the deputy sheriffs, the police department, the highway patrol, and God bless this community. I wish you peace, solace, and comfort.
You know how I just mentioned God, right? That Joe was looking down. What he didn't say, what was really unusual about this is a couple years ago when I started this bill for 29 troopers with Senator Lauren Book, I didn't know much about the bill process, and we needed a House sponsor. I never met the representative before, didn't know who he was, but he took the House. He sponsored on the House side. That's what you need for the bill. And so I'm watching live from my office the first committee hearing, and the representative, in my mouth about dropped. He said, my father was a state trooper, and he told the story that he just told you. And then he said, you know, my father told me on the way here today, make sure you get this bill done for Sherman Scott. And I was just, don't tell me God don't work in mysterious ways, Pastor, because he does. That was, never knew it. Just amazing. So thank you, sir. And I want to recognize also, I know you mentioned Representative Toby Oberdorf. He's here today. Representative John Snyder, seated over to my left. I'm not sure Representative Dana Trablusi could make it. I know Senator Gail Harrell is here as well. Thank you, all of you, members of the Florida Legislative that work in this area. Thank you so much for what you do and being here today to show your support for law enforcement and the Bullock family, of course. It's my honor and privilege to introduce Martin County Commissioner Ed Chiampi. If I butchered it, sorry.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's my humbled honor to represent my colleagues, Commissioner Jenkins and Commissioner Hetherington, and all of our Martin County residents, your son and brother and colleague, Trooper Bullock, protected and served our community. Commissioner Oberdorf and I have the honor of living in Palm City, as does Congressman Brian Mast. The three of us, federal, state, and local, live in Palm City, represent the community where your son was very, very familiar. And this morning I was with some fire rescue personnel and I told them I was coming today. And they said, please tell his family and everyone there that on behalf of fire rescue, he was such a superstar. They loved him. He was friendly and funny, and every time there was a situation where they were together, he was just a standout. So I wanted to share that honor that our fire rescue personnel wanted to pay. The speakers before me shared a lot of what I have on my heart today about service. And when the troopers came to the commission meeting and asked us if we would approve the recognition that was heading to Tallahassee, we of course did. And I wanted to make mention that when the agenda item was introduced, it said that Trooper Bullock had died. And I wanted to clarify that he did not die, he was murdered. And every day, everyone in this room and everyone in this country understands that when you put the badge on, that can happen. Now, when you think about law enforcement's lives being taken so violently, you would think of a gun battle, of the things you see on television. But in this particular case, that's not what it was. Joe was offering assistance, as so many troopers do. Members of the public think, oh, these troopers, they're just hiding out to try to catch us speeding and doing these things, but that's not the job. Joe was doing the job that all troopers do, rendering assistance to people that are in trouble in the most dangerous location that a resident or a citizen could be in trouble, on the side of a highway, alone. And so when you think about the tragedy that took Joe's life, I mean, it's more of an honor that he was there helping, not just once, not just twice, a couple of times. And for the tow truck operator who's here, I've seen the video. God bless you too and your family. And to the police officer who God put you there that day to make this less of a tragedy than it could have been. God bless all of you and your families for doing that. Any way that myself and our colleagues and the citizens of Martin County can honor and remember your son, your friend, your colleague, we will. Martin County, with the excellent leadership of Sheriff Snyder, we are known proudly as a law and order county. This is not a county you mess around in. And that message is clear. Down south, up north, people know when you cross that county line into Martin County, our brave men and women are not going to stand for any of this nonsense. But I think what's important to discuss today is that these last, especially 2020 and the years prior, with this drumbeat of defund the police and how there's some sense that, they're not necessary, let them come and sit in a room like this today. Let them watch the procession that happened a year ago, a couple of days from now. Let them understand, people want to say that, law enforcement is overreaching and it's not necessary and they have too much money and It's too militarized. Wait until the moment in your life where you need to call 911 and then see if you feel that way. As a community, we need to take what happened to this tragedy to Joe and sort of educate young people in particular that law enforcement is what makes this country such a beautiful, wonderful, and free place to live. Our military personnel protect us overseas, and our law enforcement personnel protect us here at home. And, most days people take it for granted until there's a situation where you're in trouble. And then those heroes, everyday heroes that just put that badge and that uniform on and come to protect the rest of us and serve us and help us. All I can say is you are in my prayers today and every day. Your son has been in my prayers since the moment we all heard this tragic news. And I know that he is in heaven, wrapped comfortably in God's arms. And I will tell you that in Martin County, we will never forget the sacrifice that he made and that you all made. Thank you very much, and God bless you.
I know you mentioned it, but thank you, Commissioner Stacy Hetherington and Harold Jenkins, for being here. And I know there were some other commissioners who couldn't make it. And when I was at the commission meeting for the resolution with Captain Lloyd, I remember when you did that, when they said he died that day. I felt bad for the clerk because you kind of you corrected her right on the spot and said, no, he was murdered. Thank you for your passion in supporting Trooper Bullock and all law enforcement. Before I introduce Martin County Sheriff Snyder, I just want to, and I think I can safely say this on behalf of Colonel Gene Spaulding too. And don't get me wrong, all the sheriff's offices in the Treasure Coast, Sheriff Mascara, St. Lucie County, and what they did today, that trooper was murdered, their help and everything. But Martin County Sheriff's Office is like no other sheriff's office in this state. And we jest and we joke in our profession just like any other profession. They'll tell us to go write a ticket. We'll tell them to go to a barking dog collar or something, It's what we do. We wear different uniforms, and it doesn't matter. We're all brothers and sisters. And there is no agency that I feel more part of, and the members of the Fort Pierce District and the Highway Patrol more welcomed than the Martin County Sheriff's Office has made us feel. We are family. And we had good relationships before, but it's so strong, and under the leadership of Sheriff Snyder, I think it's unmatched anywhere else in this state. And sir, we really, really appreciate it. And so does the family. Everything you've done for the family and us, your whole organization. Captain Bill Dowdy, I know he's sitting there. There he is. The memorial that you guys went at, mile marker 107, him and all the members of the sheriff's office that went out there and made that memorial. I was just out there a week and a half ago. They have maintained it. It's just, there are no words to thank you enough. There really isn't. Sheriff Snyder?
Major, thank you so much for that kind introduction. Colonel, family members, Brother Bullock and your wife. As I thought about standing up here today, I'm honored to be here, but I've never thought of myself as anything more than a Miami street cop. And I find myself in this position of honor trying to make sense out of the clearly senseless. And I wish I wasn't here because of what we're here for. And I believe that there are others that could speak so much more eloquently. But I did think that I would at least address what I think all of us in this profession, and now I turn my attention now to my deputies, to Indian River Sheriff's Office deputies that are here, St. Lucie County. I see state officers in the back. It's hard because of these lights. I'm not sure what uniforms I'm seeing. But I want to just talk to you for a minute about trying to make sense of the senseless. All human beings think in a linear fashion. It's a term of art from math, linear, in that we feel like if you go from A to B, what should come next? C. If you throw something up, it should come down. If you're nice to somebody, they should be nice to you. That's typical linear thought, and we're wired that way. That's the way we think. We're constantly trying to make sense of what we see around us. So when you climbed into that trooper car for the first time, or you climbed into your green and white for the first time, and you got your first call or your first shift, some of you don't remember, it's been a while. It wasn't long before you began to realize this horrible truth. Life does not make sense. Pastor, you know that. 2 FBI agents, both spouses, both parents, doing their duty, fighting the most horrible and wretched crime known to man, the abuse of children, with all the training and with all their anticipation and all their getting ready for it, are murdered. Joseph Bullock gets up in the morning, goes to work. It's going to be a day like every other day, making left turns. You know, I couldn't help that. Those of you that don't wear badges probably don't get that, but you'll think it through. I can't remember now, he got a call. I think initially they thought it was a wreck, or then the second time they thought, it's irrelevant. He goes to help somebody, and that's all he anticipated doing. And that was what made sense to him. Stranded motorist, down in the ditch, call a tow truck, linear thinking. I'm going to go from point A to point B, and then I'm going to go answer the next call for service, or try to slow traffic down so people don't kill themselves. And in the chaos of his life, he loses his life. So from the day you began in your career until this very moment, as we're standing here trying to breathe some life and some color into this horribly black, dismal, sad affair, we recognize that life is not linear. Life is nonlinear. It's chaotic. B does not follow A, and C does not follow B. Z follows R, and L follows A, and it rains, the Bible says, on the just and the unjust. And life is just that way. It's chaotic. The good farmer who loves his wife and pays his bills and raises his family and goes to church and tithes, Pastor, has a crop on 40 acres, separated from the other 40 acres by a barbed wire fence where his neighbor is a drunk and a profligate, and he's a cheater, and he's an abuser of his wife and an abuser of his family. So, Trooper Rudd, when it rains, whose farm gets the rain? The just farmer and the unjust farmer. Mr. Bullock, when it's a drought and the crops are dying, whose crops are dying? The just and the unjust. Because that's just the way God wired it. That's the way it is in a fallen and depraved world. We do not live in a linear world. We live in a nonlinear world, and it appears that chaos reigns. But I have good news for you today, and I'm going to wind down here in just a second. You've heard of the butterfly effect? Some of you have. The butterfly effect is a theory that if a butterfly on one side of the world flaps its wings, it creates an unseen effect that results in a typhoon on the other side of the world. Probably a hyperbolic illustration and not exactly one that works out in physics. But nonetheless, it's an attempt by scientists and physics to say that in the unseen world, Mr. Bullock, in the chaos that we see, there actually is order. Things actually do happen for a reason. And whether or not a typhoon occurs when the butterfly wing flaps, I don't know, but I will tell you this. Every minute of every day that Joseph Bullock got into that cream and black colored patrol car and rolled up on the interstate, he had an effect. Just like the butterfly, he had an effect. And just like the butterfly, he didn't see it. And just like the butterfly, all of you, as you leave here today and buckle your seatbelts on and click your radios on and begin to listen for your calls, and you begin to go back out, and the memory of this has to recede because we have to pay attention. I just lost half my crew. I have car burglars have rolled in here from another county, and they are out there tangling with some Palm Beach bad guys. But as they're out there doing their work, and as you're going out to do your work, the memory of this will begin to dull, and you'll have to pay attention and be ready. But I would like you to remember this. Your mere presence on I-95, I-75, I-4, County Road 76, Miami Avenue in Dade County, Sunrise Boulevard in Broward County, and who knows what streets are named in California. Wherever men and women are in police cars, or patrol cars, or trooper cars, or federal agents' cars, or alcohol, tobacco, and firearm cars, they are having an effect that they cannot see. They are instituting chaos. They are instituting peace in a chaos-filled world. When Joseph Bullock was just sitting on I-95, what did every motorist doing 83 miles an hour do when they saw that cream and black? They went like this and slowed down. When the burglars are coming into my county, or St. Lucie, or Indian River, and they see a marked car, what do? Let's get out of here. Let's go somewhere else. When the husband, who has been tormenting his wife or slapping her, sees the deputy at the door, what happens to that chaotic scene? Well, if it's in Martin County, it's likely to get more chaotic and someone's going to jail. But notwithstanding that possible inevitability, peace should start to reign. When you roll up in your tan and black or cream and black, and there's a car overturned at mile marker 101, and everybody is screaming and running around like chickens with their head cuts off, and you walk up, it's almost like an angel of light has just rolled up. And you know what people do? You have lost sight of it because we're so busy. They go like this. Thank God. Commissioner Campy, they say that. Even if it's not verbally in their head, they say that. Because order has arrived, and chaos will begin to give way now to order. And so, as my last thought, in what appears to be the maelstrom of chaos in this current nonlinear world, in which you struggle every minute of every day to make sense of the senseless, God's providence rules. It is not chaotic. It just appears chaotic. The physicists and the scientists who study it can't figure it out unless they believe in God. Because until you conceptualize that the very molecules of eternity are infused with God's providential spirit, it will appear very disorienting to you. But I promise you, you are angels of light. You are tan life rafts in a troubled sea. You are balm, that's B-A-L-M, for the wounded and the injured. You are a quiet voice leaning over someone who may be bleeding out, and you suspect is likely to die, but you know because you have been trained, psychological first aid is so important, you lean down and you whisper, you're going to be all right. Knowing in your heart of hearts you're not going to be all right, but you're doing your best. You're doing your best to impose a little bit of chaos, a little bit of order on a chaotic world. So, as you leave here today, remember this. There is an infinite amount of good that you do. If a butterfly flap can possibly cause a typhoon on the other side of the world, what can a God-fearing, morally sound, well-rounded, well-trained, trained professional in a law enforcement's uniform do? You can do so much good. So take from this today at least this thought. God knows you. God loves you. God cares about you. And in this nonlinear world, as it appears, there is order. And you help bring it. Thank you so much for what you do. I'm always, my last thought is I see troopers out on the side of the road, 2, 3 in the morning, in the middle of nowhere. They're backups. Who knows where their backups are? Probably sheriff's deputies somewhere because you're so spread out. I've admired what you guys do. I never wanted to do it. I don't like cars zipping by me at 70 miles an hour. So thank you for what you do. You guys and you gals, you really are heroes. And you know, when civilians say that, they try to mean it. I say it from the bottom of my heart. Thank you so much for what you do.
Sheriff Snyder. I don't know, he's shaking hands. That left turn comment's going to cost you lunch next time. He pays for lunch every time. He never lets me pay. So, Congressman Brian Mass, couldn't be here today. They're pretty busy in D.C. right now. But Stephen Lighton, his chief of staff, is here and is going to say a few words. Sir.
You know, it's never easy following the sheriff, our county commission, but to the Bullock family, to Jessica and Katie, I know that we've had a number of conversations throughout this last year. And as the congressman just texted me and is headed to the House floor, and as we dedicate the 105 to 110 on State Road 9 to 595, we too are pleased and honored to dedicate the Port Salerno Federal Building to Trooper Bullock. You see, on Christmas Eve in Palm Beach County, President Donald Trump signed that into law. And what's unique about Port Salerno and myself starting my career in 2001 as a sheriff's deputy here in Martin County, and still, I don't know why he keeps me on, but still working on behalf of the sheriff's office. Every one of you in black and tan, I rode along with a guy by the name of B.R. Johnson. And I can tell you, as a young guy in Martin County coming up, hitting the median at 100 miles an hour on a slick top just was not what I wanted to do. I think, as the sheriff said, in a chaotic world, 70 miles an hour getting passed on the side of the road is unheard of today. You guys have an amazingly dangerous job that I think goes unnoticed to so many. To the community that's sitting here today and to the media in the back, the fact of defunding anything, I just want you to know that you have a member of Congress who will not stand for that. As we've been in Washington the last 3 weeks, and it's barricaded up, it's barbed wired, and there's soldiers sitting around protecting them. He wants nothing more than be here today. But you can be assured that we will be there that day, and we will rejoice and remember what Trooper Bullock did, your son, your brother. And to each of you in the black and tan, to the chiefs, to the colonel, major, I'll never forget that day, as crazy and wild as B.R. Johnson is. It will be a lasting memory of what you do and why you do it, and more importantly, why we do it. As the only member of law enforcement to ever be killed in the line of duty in Martin County, let it be the last.
It's my honor and privilege to introduce the Executive Director of Saving a Hero's Place, Tommy Capel. Okay, he'll say. I knew I was going to mess it up. Anyway, he came all the way from Texas. He's going to explain a little bit about his foundation, and he's got a special presentation.
It's going to be tough to follow all this. We actually didn't know what we were coming into. We didn't know there was going to be this many people or what. So I probably would have dressed up more. We'll just mark it down as everybody in Texas wears blue jeans and boots.
Not everybody.
So I'm Tommy Capel, Executive Director, co-founder of Saving Heroes Place. This is my wife. She's the secretary, co-founder as well. I just want to give kind of a story on what this is. You'll see it in a little bit and why we started this. I started the police academy in San Antonio in 2010 and lost my classmate 2 months after we graduated. And then every year for the next 4 years, we lost an officer in the line of duty. I think it's now 6 just since I've been on it since 2010. But I was approached, our department had these chairs in one of our substations. I don't know who built them. They were there way before I came on. I'll find out who built them. We have a really large department. I think it's around 2,200 officers. So we don't even all know each other. But this officer approached me and he said, hey, I know you do woodworking on the side, can you build a chair for my partner that was just died in the line of duty so that I can put it at our substation? So at the time I said, yeah, I'll try it. It wasn't something I normally did. So I built the chair, I gave it to him, I didn't realize what it was gonna mean. I just gave it to him. I didn't take it, there was no presentation. He just set it at the substation. Right after that, it was 2013.
Mukhtar died in 2012.
Oh no, I gave him the chair in 2013. Then right after that is when the MIT officer was killed on duty after the Boston Marathon bombing. He was sitting in his patrol car. They walked up, shot and killed him. For whatever reason, like everyone's mentioned so far, things happen for a reason. That particular incident bothered me. I couldn't sleep, was angry, still bothers me today. I didn't know them, no ties to that area, but it bothered me, and I think it was the way it happened that bothered me. So I sent them an email. I had just done that chair, so it was still kind of in my mind, you know what, maybe I'll just build them a chair. So I sent them an email, asked them, hey, this might sound a little crazy, I'm from Texas, I would like to build you guys a chair and put it in your station where Sean Collier worked, so that you guys can always have a memory of him. They emailed me back right away. They said absolutely. We want something. We don't know what to do. They've obviously never had a line of duty death. They'd never dealt with it, and so I told my wife, hey, I just reached out to this department, over 2,000 miles away, so we're gonna have to figure out how to get a chair there. So me and my wife, 2 other officers, I built a chair and we just drove it. Our association actually let us borrow a vehicle. It was the only time they ever let us borrow a vehicle. But we borrowed that vehicle and we drove the chair all the way, just nonstop. We drove all through the night, drove straight there. And we gave them this chair, and that's when we saw what it meant to a department that had lost someone, and it meant the world to those guys. And I think we were kind of shocked. We didn't know what was going to become of it. We just wanted to do something for them. That was our only mission at the time: give them a chair, go home. But it meant so much to those officers that worked with Sean to know that he always had a seat there. So on the way back, we decided, you know what, let's create a nonprofit and we'll just see what happens. We'll reach out to departments, we'll see if someone else wants a chair, and we'll just keep doing this. Today, this will be the 149th chair we've done since 2013. In today's world, we don't really have the opportunity to reach out too much. We get a lot of requests. I think we're up to about almost 50 requests for honor chairs. If you follow line of duty desk, that doesn't even cover half a year in the world we live in today. But it means just as much to us to do this as it does to the departments that receive them. We've gone all across the country. I believe we have chairs in 19 states, and that's growing. We have a huge list of chairs to do in states all over the country. And we meet these families. When we started, we gave them that chair. There was no family there. We did another chair locally by our house. There was no family there. I think we probably did 4 or 5 chairs. There was no family there. And then it was like a switch was hit, and every chair we did after that, there was family there. And we started realizing, oh, okay, this not only means a lot to the officers who come in, it means a lot to the family to know that he's not going to be forgotten when time passes on. Because early on, it's chaos. Everyone's reaching out to you, and it fades, and we don't want that to happen. But what you guys are doing here is amazing. This is what we like to see. All the stuff you guys are doing is incredible. You don't see that everywhere. We go into departments. Sometimes there's a small little plaque on the wall, maybe in the lobby, or maybe a picture. It's not enough. When a new officer comes in, and maybe officers that used to work with that fallen officer are gone, they're not going to stop and look at that picture or research it or look at that plaque. The stuff y'all are doing here today is amazing. There's no way Trooper Bullock is going to be forgotten, and that's been our goal. We want officers to walk into a roll call room and see a chair, and it's kind of hard to just walk past it. It's not as easy as a plaque or a picture on the wall. So that's been our goal, for a new officer to walk in and say, what is this? Who was this? And the stories keep getting told. So when all those officers are gone that worked with them, still the stories are told, and they're not forgotten. When we started this, we didn't know if this was happening anywhere else in the country, and it wasn't. We tried to search, does anyone else have honor chairs? And there wasn't. So we came up with kind of our purpose on why we do this and what we think the chair means.
The honor chair. Roll call is one of the few places your shift mates sit together before going on their tours. During roll call, not only are the activities and assignments read, but it gives a place for some healthy banter, kudos for previous actions, and a reminder that you're not alone once you do hit the streets. When a law enforcement officer makes the ultimate sacrifice, his or her presence is missed. The honor chair is placed in the roll call room as a reminder that even though they're not there physically, that officer will be with you as they head out to the battles, carrying on their watch in their honor.
Master Trooper Bullock, an honor chair is now in your place. Your place among your brothers and sisters has been saved. Whew. As we go out and face the battles, we know that your shadow will be side by side with the shadows of your brothers and sisters, for you will be there watching over them as they carry on the watch. I forgot what I was going to say. We've done over 100 of these, and I still get emotional. That's why I don't write anything down. I forgot what I was going to say. This is the second chair we've done for the Florida Highway Patrol. Unfortunately, there's been several departments across the country that we've had to go back to. We did one for the Illinois State Troopers as well, and now I have 4 of them sitting in my garage that they lost just since then. So it's, I don't think a lot of the community knows the sacrifice. They don't get to see as much as we do being in the profession. Unfortunately, we're constantly getting notifications when an officer falls on line of duty. As mentioned the FBI just the other day, We actually spoke to them yesterday on the phone about chairs for them as well. But I think that's it. And we did start this as a nonprofit because we didn't want to be calling agencies and ask them if they wanted a chair and then tell them, this is how much it costs. So we rely on donations from officers in the community, and that's how we're able to do this. He mentioned the chaos in the world that everyone sees. We see the good in the world, fortunately, because of the donations we receive. They come from a lot of the community, not just law enforcement. We started a program where people can donate on a reoccurring monthly basis. I think we got almost 30 or 40 just this year. So although you're seeing chaos all over the place and everyone hates us, we're seeing a lot of support still, and it's not just from law enforcement. So just know it's out there. But I think that's basically all I got. We're honored to do this. Like I said, it means just as much to us. We become very close with departments and families that we do these for. I always tell people we literally vacationed with officers last year from Massachusetts that we met because we did a chair for them. They mentioned the law enforcement is family, and it really is. Everywhere we go, they're all the same. They all make jokes about each other, and it's literally the same everywhere you go across the country. So we appreciate you guys letting us do this. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom. We had several phone calls with each other, and I was just humbled by his passion and what he chose to do with the rest of his life, really, to honor fallen officers all over this country. It's amazing. Thank you. And your wife. It's my honor and privilege. We got a little something we want to show you. I want to bring Sergeant Raymond Wigfall to the podium here for a special presentation.
To the family, we have a special presentation just like the others. What's different about this presentation is this presentation has been signed by members of Joseph Bullock's squad, other troopers throughout the state, in addition to honor guard members throughout the nation that attended the funeral, has also signed this presentation, and we'll later present it to you as well. Most importantly, I'd like to give a special thanks to Corporal Gracie for making this presentation happen. She put in countless of hours. When you see it, you'll see what I'm talking about, designing it to fit Bullock the way that he would want it. FHP personnel on your feet. Fellow Bullock family, on behalf of the Florida Highway Patrol and the Florida Highway Patrol Honor Guard, you will never be forgotten. You may be seated.
Thank you. All right. Got one more guest. It's my honor and privilege to introduce Tom Berry, the founder and executive director. Tom, come on up. Of Blue Alert Foundation. He's going to do a special presentation, a special guest speaker as well.
Hello, My name is Tom Berry, the Executive Director and founder of the National Blue Alert System. For you that do not know what it is, I worked very hard with Congress to get it passed and get President Obama to sign it into law. It helps speed the apprehension of criminals who kill or seriously injure law enforcement in the line of duty nationally now. I started it here in Florida, but now we are all 50 states. It automatically goes to your cell phone, just like an Amber Alert would if we're looking for a suspect who has harmed any of you guys. I just want to say one thing to Tommy and Robbie. This is the third chair that I requested from their organization for Joe. I did Chelsea Richard, I did Charlie K. Conduct out of Tarpon Springs. So I thank them for honoring the request. I thank the Highway Patrol for sending the badge to have it put inside, and the challenge coins that Major Chandler gave me to send to Tommy to put inside the chair. So I do thank you, Tommy. I have known Joe for 2.5 years, and about 1.5 years ago, we text each other, and I sent him a picture of a friend of mine who gave me a award. His name is Randy Sutton. And when Joe saw the picture, he said, "Oh, it's Randy." And you can see on the text message that he wanted to meet him really bad. Well, when Joe was killed 1 year ago, I sat here for a whole year because I knew this day was going to come up. How can I honor him doing it? So I felt, when I promised Joe that if Randy came back to Florida, I would introduce him to him. I made a promise. I'm keeping a promise. I flew in Randy Sutton from Las Vegas to come here to speak in the eyes of Joe, just to make a commitment happen. And I just wanted to make sure you guys knew that, because he was a great friend of mine. He was the first officer that was my friend that was murdered in the line of duty. And that's why I did what I did. So I do thank you guys very much. Now for Lieutenant Randy Sutton.
You have to forgive me. Emotions run high. I was a 34-year police veteran. I retired as a lieutenant with the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department. I am the founder of the Wounded Blue, the National Assistance and Support Organization for injured and disabled law enforcement officers. It was my great honor when I was serving with the Las Vegas Police Department to be the assistant commander of the Honor Guard. And so when I see an event such as today, it brings forth memories. I buried so many friends. So even though I got to tell you, I feel a little cheated because I never got to meet Joe. When Tom told me about that text, he called me. He said, "There's a guy I really want you to meet. He really wants to meet you." I guess he'd seen me on Cops or read some of my books or something. But I said, "Well, hell yeah. Next time I'm down, I think there's a beer in our future." And before that could happen, I got that call. So I never got to meet Joe. For that, I think I missed something. But I can tell you this. Even though I never met him, I knew him. I knew his heart. Because he was a cop's cop. He spent his entire law enforcement career working the road. You don't do that unless you're the real deal. So when I think of a cop's cop, And for those of you, everybody in law enforcement knows what that means, but for those of you who do not, all I can say is that someday, when there's a gathering for me, I hope somebody says that. So, when I think of what was in Joe's heart and everything that law enforcement has faced recently in the last few years, and I think about all the maligning that these men and women that are in this room have faced and their brothers and sisters across the United States, I believe that it's time to tell the truth about what is in the heart of every one of these men and women that serves their communities. So I would like to share this with you. It's called I Believe. I wrote this in commemoration of the lives of many. I'm a cop, and I believe. I believe in my badge and all that it stands for courage, for honor, and for compassion. It stands for unity and integrity and for sacrifice. I believe in the men and women who stand beside me with gleaming gold and silver worn proudly on their chests. I know of their pain, and I know of their triumphs. For cruelty and violence is the acid that corrodes our souls, and it is belief alone that can shield us from being consumed. Belief that our purpose and our destinies lay in protecting others. I believe that cops are warriors, soldiers in one sense because combat is very real and very personal and never far from their reality. But cops are much more. They are the peacemakers, and their courage is tempered with their compassion. A cop knows that each day may be their last, that violence may take them, and they might fall, and yet they go on. They go on because of belief in something greater than themselves. They believe in justice. Noble words? You bet they are, and I'm proud to say them, for I'm a cop, and I believe. To a cop, justice is not a hypothetical theory. It is not a concept open to debate. It is as real and as visceral as the mournful sound of taps as another uniform-clad body is laid to rest. It is something to be fought for and sometimes to die for. Yes, I'm a cop, and I believe. I believe that when my career is over and I no longer shoulder the burdens of my profession, I will look back with pride. Pride in myself, in the knowledge that I did my best. Pride in my brothers and sisters for continuing on. And most of all, for pride in my badge and all that it stands for. I'm a cop, and this is what I believe. Thank you.
It's my honor and privilege once again, lastly, to welcome Trooper Joe's father, John.
Thank you. Okay, 595, take a seat. We're going to talk about you some more. Or as better known around my house as Joey Bag of Donuts. On February 5th, 2020, we mourned the loss of our son. Today, February 5th, 2021, we celebrate Joe's life. His impact on all of us is truly felt, all the lives he touched. There's a lot of stories I could tell about Joe, most of them pretty darn funny. Not enough time to do that, so I'm going to have to invite you over to the house for some of the best ribs you'll ever have in your life, but please don't all come at once because we'd probably run out of silverware. Joe would come in the side door with bags in his hand, said, "Joey, what do you got?" He says, "I'm making pasta salad." He loved pasta salad. "And I'm making a steak, the best steak you'll ever have in your life." Okay, Joe. He just came over to relax, make some food, talk about football, pray for the Steelers. At the end of the previous season, we talked about whether an 8-8 season was a winning season or a losing season. He said it was. I said I wasn't sure. He said something funny and I laughed. I said something funnier and he laughed. He thought of something even funnier. He made me laugh so hard I was crying. I thought of something funny back, but I couldn't say it. I was laughing too hard. He loved my dog, Shorty, the Basset. A lot of people thought Shorty was Joe's dog because he had put about 47 pictures of him and Shorty on Facebook. But no, he was his family dog. Very short Basset hound. Joe would come to the side door and Shorty'd make a big fuss, run after him, and he would bark for 5 minutes. And then Joe would have to get down on the ground, roll around with him, and say, "Yeah, I'm home again." I got a lot of thank yous. I'm going to miss some people. We saw some great people last night at dinner. More today, more than I ever thought I would meet. That knew Joe, knew something of Joe, had some interaction with Joe at some point in time. First of all, I want to thank the Christ Fellowship Church and its members and its pastor for this beautiful venue, allowing us to be here today. Colonel Gene Spaulding, what can I say? What a leader. What an administrator. He was there right away. He said later on, "John, if you ever run into a wrinkle, you can call me." I said, "Well, I'll probably start at the bottom and work my way up, depending on how big a wrinkle it is." But I appreciate that, Colonel. And everything that we've done for our family over the last year has been amazing. Major Robert Chandler for doing all the work with signage, road designations for all the fallen officers. Certainly for my son. I can't out-talk him. I don't know if anybody can. Had a lot of conversations on the phone. We'll talk about 45 minutes about home renovations, and then he'll say, "Oh, by the way, this is what I wanted to talk about." And he'll ask me the question. Major Chandler, thank you. I hope your hair grows back. About 3 weeks prior to the loss of Joe, just had a quick thought through my head. When will the day come? The 3 officers will walk up to my door. About 3 weeks later, it happened. I opened the door and there was Major John Bauman, Captain Connor Cardwell, and Captain John Donovan. And I said, "Are you here about my son?" And they said, "Yes." And I said, "Okay, come on in." And right after that, Captain Cardwell, Captain Donovan literally lived with us for the next 30 days, stationed an officer outside our house so the media wouldn't bother us. Cared for us, guided us, fed us, gave us words of encouragement, answered questions that we needed answers to. We don't see enough of Captain Cardwell as much anymore, but John Donovan seems to be able to show up to the house routinely to eat my pickles. What's that about? Anyway, we love you, John. Captain Ryan Lloyd, we met not too far into the loss, and the month before, Joe was awarded the Employee of the Month, Troop L, and Captain Lloyd, I got a picture of Captain Lloyd handing Joe the award, and he called me, he goes, "Dad, they put my picture up on the wall." I didn't want that. Well, there's a few walls you got your picture on now, Joe. Quite a few. But Captain Lloyd, you're a wonderful person, wonderful leader, great trooper, and we thank you. Trooper Michael Coulter was Joe's zone partner, one of his best friends. They shared a lot of their personal experiences where Joe didn't usually do that with too many people. Michael was a best friend, still is. He's become basically a family member now. And he eats well too. Got to stock up. Yeah. Troop L, I just want to say one thing about Troop L. He made us feel right away like we belonged. You gave Joe the support he needed on the job. And any chance he had to mention you and what might have gone on any particular day. Sometimes he'd talk about it. He wouldn't always talk about the bad stuff. Sometimes talk about the funny stuff. Like the naked man running down the side of I-95. He got the man stopped. He said, what are you doing out here? He says, "I'm looking for Easter eggs." He says, "Okay, well, come on, get in the back of my car and we'll go look for him." And he did. I think he went and got him some help. Troop L, thank you. You're in our hearts. Randy Sutton, nice to meet you, sir. Great to have you here. Joe is a fan. The work you're doing is God's work. We appreciate that. Tom Berry, founder of the Blue Alert Foundation, and he's also a wounded warrior. He has no reason to be here. I don't mean here. I mean, he doesn't have any reason to be on the earth. He got shot up to pieces. And still, he goes on to serve his community and serve his country by creating a foundation and continuing to serve us well. Thank you. Thank you, Tom. Congressman Brian Mast couldn't be here, but Stephen Lighton is. He's our 18th congressional district representative of Florida. He's also a wounded warrior. He shouldn't have been here either. In fact, he's not here. But again, he survived the experience and he went on to continue to serve his country, serve his community, because he had that passion. And we support him in everything he does, because he does everything for all the right reasons. And he supports you. I know he does. I've had that conversation with him. And so we thank you, Stephen. We thank you, Senator Mast. And the work that he was doing to get the federal building with Joe's name on it, that's going to happen in the future. And we can't believe that. I don't know. Has that ever been done any place else in this country? I don't know. Has any other fallen officer had this kind of a tribute? I don't know of one, but maybe there are some, and certainly it's when they do have tributes, it's from the heart. But it just keeps going and going and going, and my gosh, it's so heartwarming. And that's why I say today is a celebration, not a mourning. William Snyder, Sheriff of Martin County, put a tribute in the lobby of his office with Joe's name on it. I've never heard of another agency doing that for a law enforcement officer that was not a part of his department. But he explains in a lot of ways they're all family. That's true. Sheriff Snyder, thank you for being here. God bless you and your work. Stuart, Florida, in general. If I wasn't so ingrained in Englewood, Florida, I'd be living here. It's fantastic. Everybody is so nice, so warm. Very pleasant place to be. Martin County Commissioners, for the work you're doing, thank you. Some people came quite a ways to be here today. Joe's buddies, a few of them are here from United States Air Force. They were with Joe just about from the day he was at the academy and for the next 4 years that he committed his life to the Air Force. Brad, Tim, Danny, we love you. Thank you. To all in attendance, thank you. As I said, there's too many names to mention. We'd be here all day, and I don't know that you would want that. So, as I say, this is a day of celebration and a day of remembrance and tribute. And I know some of you still have a heavy heart. But I'm wishing and I pray that God will hold you in the palm of his mighty hand and give you peace. Thank you.
I almost didn't help him with that hair comment. myself and Colonel Spaulding and the rest of the Fort Pierce District sincerely appreciate everyone's attendance today at this ceremony. I know everybody in the family is just overwhelmed with this. And wait till you see it on the side of the road, and I know you're going to go out to the station. Just before we conclude, and I got last comments about what's going to go on afterwards, I want to bring up Auxiliary Captain Dwight Clodfelter to lead in a closing prayer, and then we'll conclude.
I'm honored to be one of those here in attendance that can honor Trooper Joe Bullock. His service and the memories that he created with a lot of people in this room. We're thankful to the family to give us this opportunity today. Let's pray. Heavenly Father, we come to you. We thank you so much that you allowed us the opportunity today to do what Joe's dad, John, told us to do, and that's celebrate Joe's life, his service, what he did, and the impact he had on all of us, no matter who he met, stranger, friend, or family. We thank you again for the protection that you give all of us as we do our duty. We don't want to take that for granted. And we thank you that you have prayer warriors that are praying for us in all that we do. We ask that you would help us as we leave here to remember, reflect, and honor Trooper Bullock and all of our fallen troopers in the state of Florida. We again thank you for our leadership and their passion to honor, to remember those who need us most. We thank you for allowing us to be part of the Bullock family, because the Bullock family will always be part of ours. We ask that you give us protection as we travel, as we go back to our places, and we ask that you would be with all of us as we go, that we celebrate the life of this great man. We ask this in your precious and holy name. Amen.
To all our FHP members and all our law enforcement partners, sheriff's offices and city agencies that are here today, be safe, stop out with each other. It's a dangerous world we live in, and thank you for being here. The Fort Pierce District members, Captain Lloyd and the district members, are going to escort the family a little bit after they've had some time to socialize a little bit, out to the roadside where this sign is at, so they can take some pictures, and then they're going to go up to the station. I believe Martin County Sheriff's Office is also going to help out, participate in that. But this concludes our ceremony. Thank you so much.